Welcome to Ultimate DIY, where you learn to be your own handyman. And today we are going to talk about how you keep your tools and assets safe.
Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to locate and retrieve the welding asset. Insta-fence engaged. SpaceHawk, lights off. Asset has left the Insta-fence area. Return asset to home base. Mission well done, Ultimate DIY-er.
There's a lot of different ways that you could track your assets. You can get a little etching pen and you can etch your name and your driver's license in every tool that you own. And I still recommend doing that as a backup, but not as the primary, because you're counting on the fact if this tool ends up at a pawn shop or something, which who knows, somebody's maybe just wanting to keep the tool and use it. It may never go to a pawn shop. You're kind of gambling on the fact that it's going to show up somewhere and somebody's going to see your name and driver's license, and then you get your tool back. I will tell you that doesn't happen most of the time. You can also use video cameras. Video cameras are great. They're going to be able to record. You're going to be able to see the person who came and took your things. But does that help you? Sometimes it does. Sometimes it does not. You still have to be able to identify that person, and you still don't know where your asset is. So I want something that I can hide, something that is waterproof, something that, is going to hold up to the elements, something I can put in an inconspicuous spot so that it's not going to be seen, and that will actually track where my asset is in real time with a smartphone or smart device, or even my laptop or my desktop computer. So I've actually reviewed an awful lot of trackers for this episode. I've even looked at the Apple little tags. Those are great. A lot of people use them. They'll throw them in a trunk, but they can be detected by the iPhone because technically that's what they're for. If you lose something, it's made to be able to find it. So it'll pop up on an iPhone of whoever you're trying to track. So if you're putting this on a piece of equipment and they come and take your equipment and they're using an iPhone, they're going to know that there's a tracker in there and they're going to find it and get rid of it. So I don't really like those units that well. There's a lot of other hardwired units which are really great, but the problem is you're going to be tied to one piece of equipment. I want something that I can move from equipment to equipment, but something that actually gives me the option to hardwire it in if I want to. I found this unit. It is made by Land Air Sea, and it is called the SpaceHawk. Now, this unit is awesome. It is going to be battery powered, super magnetic. Matter of fact, let me show you just how magnetic. I mean, you are not going to get this thing off. They did tests in the Arizona desert with this. multiple tests. I believe it was over 20 tests, and tried all kinds of things and did not lose a single unit. The magnet is extremely strong. So what else do I really like about the unit besides the fact that it has a really awesome magnet? I like the fact that it is, less than 2 inches wide. I like the fact that it is dark in color, so I can conceal it very easily so that it's not going to be spotted right away and taken away, so that I can find my asset. Now, there are 3 lights that are on this that will blink, but you can actually control those lights through the app, and you can turn the lights off so it's not going to show up real quickly. A very cool little feature. Now, this thing is chargeable. It is battery powered. The battery on this will last 2 to 3 weeks. It all kind of depends on if you put it on the relaxed mode, I call it, where it's not going to constantly be updating and giving you a real-time reading, but it will periodically on a timed schedule give you an upload. That saves battery power so it will last longer. So what else about the unit is outstanding? This is 100% waterproof. So you're not going to have to worry about it getting damaged if you put it up under a car and they go through a big water puddle or whatever and it gets submerged. If it ends up with sand or dirt. Now, I will tell you, when I was making the little intro and I was tracking the actual device, it is real time, but it is generally going to be within 6 to 20 feet of the object. And there's a slight delay. So as I was tracking and following the unit, I realized that it's probably about a football field's length difference. So when it would say it was at one intersection, they were already going to be about a football field's length further up. Not a big deal, just something that you need to know. Now, I like the fact that I could mount this underneath a trailer, especially since I told you in the beginning, I lost one of my trailers. I like the fact that I can mount it up under a car frame. Now, they do recommend not really putting this around the actual engine bay because it gets really hot under there. You'll notice in one of my little clips I'll show above that I'm actually putting it in that engine bay, but it's far away from any heat. But they still recommend not doing that. Put it around the frame, and if you're going to place it around a frame, be sure that it's not in the center. Try to get it closer to the edges so that it gets a better GPS signal. Now, this is made to be able to still place further underneath the frame, and it's going to get that bounce or reflective signal from GPS. So it's made to still get the signal even if it's far underneath the frame. But if you move it further out, you're going to get a better signal. Now, one of the other things I'm going to point out is you can take this and throw it in a glove box. You can, put it on anything metal, obviously with the magnet. But if you've got a newer vehicle, like say a new Ford F-150, that Ford is completely made of an aluminum material. It's not really made from steel. Even the frame up underneath is made out of aluminum. So you are going to have to probably put this in a glove box. Now, another thing I want to point out is I did mention earlier that it comes with the built-in SIM card. Now, this SIM card will not only work in the US, Canada, and Mexico, but it'll actually work in over 150 different countries. So it's very universal. Now, the other thing that you've got to keep in mind with this unit is it does work off of a plan because you're using a SIM card. Now, that plan will start as low as like $9.99 at the time of this filming, up to about $20, and it can be either monthly or it can be, yearly. And if you do yearly, it is going to be a little bit cheaper for you. So there's a couple other things about the data plan that I really like because it ties into the app. You're going to be able to get an app like I mentioned earlier that is going to work on an Android phone, or it's going to work on an Apple phone. It can work on the computer so that you can track everything in real time. One of the things about the tracking in real time that is really great is you can put a geofence around whatever your asset is. And when it leaves that geofence, it breaks that barrier. It is actually going to send a message to your phone saying your asset has left the barrier, the geofence. So there's a problem, and you will be able to start tracking your asset in real time. That is truly amazing. But when you actually get your data plan, you have several options, all the way from just the regular homeowner DIY type all the way up to a big commercial grade type system to where you can track the device and get multiple reports. And one of the things I think that was really cool there is I can actually track the speeds and things of real time. So if I have an employee driving one of my company trucks, I will know immediately just how fast they are driving, so that I can actually, reprimand them if I need to, or I can congratulate them because they are driving really well and taking very good care of my asset. So that's a lot of what I like about, say the app. Now in the app is also, where you help or activate everything. You pick your plans. If the asset has been taken, you can actually turn the lights off in the app. You get a lot of reports. They keep up to a year's worth of reports, in that app. So that is all, truly amazing. And I think for the cost of what you're paying for this, you're getting a ton of features that you're not going to get even in some of your bigger, more expensive tracking units. Now, one of the things that you got to keep in mind is, like I said, every 2 to 3 weeks, you are going to have to charge this. It's going to be USB-C, and you just simply plug it in. The side has a little weather boot, and you charge. And I would recommend charging it fully in the very beginning when you first get it. Just make sure that you take this little weather boot and that you get it back on there really nice and tight. Now, they do give you a lot of little arrows telling you USB charge and show you where that is. And you've got your on and off right over here. And by the way, that is a little bit of a tricky thing. They do that on purpose so that somebody can't just go turn it off. It's going to be a little bitty circle on the side, and they're going to give you the little pin, and you simply put the pin in to turn it on or off. That way, it can't just get turned on and off very easily. So my suggestion is, if you're going to put this on a piece of equipment that you're wanting to track, go ahead and turn the lights off in the very beginning so that it's not going to show up right away. Make sure that it's on and reading. And when you first fire this thing up, guys, you got to take it outside and walk around or drive around for about a good 10 minutes so that it'll actually register the unit. If you only have 2 lights on, it's not registering. If you see all 3, it is working, and that's what you actually want, and you should be able to go check it and see what's going on. And another thing to keep in mind is this does not track down to the actual device. It's generally going to track to the address. So if something has been taken, it's going to generally take you right up to the address of where your item is at. So if it's a big vehicle, you're going to spot it right away. If it's a tool, you may not spot it right away. You may need to call the police or some type of enforcement that your item is at that location so that we can try to look for it, or they can try to look for it. So the last major thing I want to talk about on this, and this is where I'm going to get a lot of flack, is because people are looking at this and they're saying, yeah, that's great. You can put it on something, but what happens in 2 or 3 weeks? If I forget to put a charge on it or whatever, what if I just wanted to track my, company truck and I don't want to be messing with charging it? They actually have an actual waterproof hardware kit, and they're going to give you the little QR code scan sheet in your kit when it comes to you. And that way you can actually hardwire this directly so that you don't have to worry about charging it up all the time. But for me, I actually like being able to charge it up. I actually like being able to move it from asset to asset. So if I'm remodeling my home and I'm using a particular expensive piece of equipment at that moment, I want to make sure that one's protected. And then if I change those out and I bring something else in, I want to be able to move my tracker without having to unwire it. So I actually like that part, but I do like the ability to be able to wire it directly to a car. So if using a hardwire kit takes away the negativity of, being a battery operated system, is there anything else that I can find that's wrong with the system? Well, the one thing that I did find that can kind of be a bad situation for you is if you live out in the middle of nowhere, because this works off of cell towers. Cell towers don't usually work very well out in far rural areas. So if you live out in a far rural area, you are probably going to have a little trouble with this. Now, that being said, if your cell phones are working good in those areas, you're probably not going to have an issue but you may end up with dead spots when you're driving around or doing things, or that asset, if it gets taken, you may have some dead spots. Now, is that a problem of the unit, or is that a problem of the technology? Now, I would say that is not a problem of this unit, because a lot of units use the cell technology. That's how they help track it. I don't think it's a problem with the unit at all. So I can't really say that that is an issue with this. So technically, I really can't find anything that is really takes away from the unit. So overall, guys, I think it is a fantastic unit. And if you're wanting a way to protect all of your assets, whether you're a DIYer or whether you're a contractor, I don't think you're going to find a better tracking system. So guys, if you're interested in picking up one for yourself, I'm going to leave a link in the description so that you can go straight there and pick up your own unit. So if you are not a subscriber, be sure you hit that little subscribe button and ring that little bell notification button. Matter of fact, you need to hit it twice. If you hit it twice, it means you're going to get notified every time I release a video. And if leave me a comment if you've got a tracking unit, or if you've got this tracking unit and you've had some success stories, or it's kept things from disappearing. I'd really like to hear about it. So be sure you leave me a comment in the comment section. So guys, as always, we will see you on the next one.